This may come as a shock, but I also had the police called on me.
What? Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Tea with V.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do a little cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I know before we officially begin, I just want to say how honored and happy I am to be the first guest on this podcast. I was just thinking about this the other day. You know how these big CEOs and presidents of the companies, they always do a cut the ribbon when a big hospital is built in their names. I kind of feel like that. I'm cutting the ribbon.
I should have put a ribbon here.
Exactly. I was literally going to look at the camera and say, editor, please, could you just put a ribbon, put a scissor in my hand? And sorry, I'm giving more work.
No,
to
it's
your...
okay. Okay, welcome to the first episode.
There we go.
And I really want to introduce you to someone very close to my heart. My sister from another mister. Please welcome the icon, my idol, my role model, my sister, my bestie, my everything, the one and only Natasha Fernandes.
Yay! Thank you. Those were such high praises. I'm super glad to be here. So thank you for thinking of me.
Of course. Before we start, Natasha, tell us about yourself.
Oh, I'm Natasha. I am a God-fearing woman. I love my faith. I am a hard worker. I work at the center here with V. I am FYI, for those who don't know, V's boss. So no, I did not pay her to have me on here.
Good controversy to clear.
Good controversy to clear. This is not a paid collaboration. But I just, as a person, I think how I would introduce myself is someone that's very open-hearted, warm, and loves to meet, talk to new people. And my whole job is to basically engage and interact with students. And I think that's how we met as well.
Yeah.
And you could probably talk a little bit more about that. But I am just somebody who loves to be here and meet new fellow human beings and create substantial connections with people. And be a good role model, as you said.
Yes, you are.
No, I try to be every day a little bit better than the previous day. I'm 23 years old. So that's another thing. And I just graduated last year. And I don't know any other relevant information. You could find it on my Wikipedia page that does not exist. But people want to create one, please go ahead and create one.
Free marketing.
Free marketing. I would love to have my own Wikipedia page after this podcast. It would be the highlight of this episode.
Okay, so you're looking for a Wikipedia page after this podcast.
I would love that. I would love that.
Great. Okay. So Natasha, before we get some heavy tea, I want to ask you, you said you're a very people's person. And I really want to dive into that. Every time I see you, you're always so bubbly, so natural when it comes to interacting with people.
Yeah.
I want to know, were you when you grew up in a joint family, or were you always like that as a child, or these are qualities that you have developed? How did that happen?
So I think, believe it or not, I was actually growing up, I was a little bit of an introvert.
I'm not believing that.
I know. Whenever I say that, people do not believe that. But when you grow up with a sister who is a literal extrovert, she's literally like you. She's a ball of sunshine, and she interacts with people much better than I do. So I also feel it just runs in the family because my mom is a heavy extrovert, but my dad, on the other hand, is more of an introvert. So I would lean more towards my dad's personality. And my sister was like a carbon copy of my mom's personality. But I look more like my mom, and my sister looks more like my dad. So it's like a mix of looks and personality. But I think my turning point came when I came here to Canada, and I was forced to be in situations where I had to be outgoing. It was more like a survival instinct as well, because I wanted to make sure that I, made a name for myself and people knew who I was. And I wanted to make genuine friendships and genuine connections. I wanted to be in good relations with my professors and peers that I looked up to, things like that. So I just very naturally became more of an extrovert, more of a person who would be very easy to talk to. And still, there are still some traits when if I meet a total stranger, I'm still a little on guard.
I am not buying that. I am generally not believing that.
But then I went to so many networking events where I just have to talk to strangers and be comfortable with that, right? And then when you go to conferences, like, went to one in Dallas and another one in Boston, went to one in New York, like you're meeting people that you will never see again. You probably meet them and then possibly you may meet them in another conference in another city or another country later on in life. But it was a really important thing for me to still establish that connection, that even if I meet a stranger, I still want to be able to have conversations with them even after we don't see each other again.
Right.
Like, so, continuing that connection.
Like having a memorable relation where they remember that, like even if that was a high, they remember you met them.
Exactly. And that's always been something that's on the back of my mind when I meet some new people. I don't see it as like, oh, these are the number of people I met, but I see like this is this one new connection that I made, this new person that is now part of my network or part of my growth journey, and I'm also part of their growth journey. So I see it as like a relationship that takes time and cultivating and building and things like that. So it was more so of me constantly being exposed to situations that had that I was forced to be adaptable as well, and it's good. It's a good force.
Yeah, you just you look like a natural. I cannot tell that you were adapting to these things.
Yeah,
it just felt. For me, when I first met you, it just felt like you knew me before. The way you were just like, hi, and like such a social butterfly.
Oh my
I was like, oh, she knows me, maybe. And then I couldn't believe that was the first time we were meeting.
Yeah, and it is kudos to you too, because I think when we first met, you came and you very truthfully told me, oh, I've already looked you up on LinkedIn. I was really like, and I was like, oh my gosh, and that was really inspiring to me, because I'm like, okay, she does her research before she meets someone and is not like just blindly meeting people and like pretending to know them. She knows them before she says something. So
yeah, I do my research, not stalking.
Yeah, the research, quote unquote, quote unquote research. But I really love that about you, and that's why it became very easy for me to have a connection with you, because you had already researched
exactly.
about me
good way.
Beforehand, so it was easy. Yeah,
it's always good to run like a little background check.
100%.
Just get the vibe check, and then sometimes it's totally opposite. I would run a vibe check, and then when I meet them, I'm like, oh, they're not that. They surprise me in so many ways.
Yeah.
Good and bad both.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very important to be authentic both in person and online. Obviously, don't share everything about yourself online, but whatever you do share, there should be truth in it, and not like this weird facade that you put on online and then you're somebody completely different when you interact with someone off screen. So whatever limited information you do share online, that limited information should hold at least a thread of authenticity and honesty that can be cloaked with some exaggeration or something. We always like to toot our own horns.
Humble bragging.
Humble bragging, yes, if that's a thing. But there should always be some sort of authenticity to it, so that when they do meet you in person, they know you. Right?
I agree. I definitely agree to that. Are you ready for some heavy tea now?
Oh my gosh.
I think I've asked you this before, but not on like a social platform. And I really want to ask this. This is a little thing that I do before I ask any heavy tea. You need to have a sip of.
A sip. I love that. I love the logo.
ASMR. We love that.
Oh my gosh, your lipstick stain. Sorry.
It's okay. Authentic, right?
Authentic.
So natural. Okay, Natasha. So I know you have graduated with the Pol Science major, right? And then you had like so much interest in international relations and law, and now you're working as a business consultant at an entrepreneurship center here at SMU. Now I really want to know that when you literally drifted from your studies completely, what you were doing, you chose a different path to pursue, which is completely okay. But being at a higher position, do you get comments where people question your role there, or they're like, what makes you credible for that role? And sometimes do not take your advice very seriously. And if you do get those comments, how do you deal with those?
So it's happened, I guess, really a handful of times. To be honest, I do want to put like a PSA, that usually the people I interact with are always very open minded, and they're very like grateful for whatever help and advice they do get. But then sometimes, and this is in any job or any field, and sometimes even especially as a young woman, when you are in a field where it's mostly either male dominated or older people are usually the face of these things, it can be tough. And I think one particular incident that I do remember is I was giving a session for one of our programs, actually, which is very ironic. But one of our programs here at the center, and I think it was there was a couple of master's students on that program, and I was talking about, and I think I was talking about networking or something to that effect. And this particular person stayed later on call and was like, I want to meet this other member of your team, like who is much more senior and stuff. Like, why are you the one delivering the
She
session?
asked that directly?
Yeah, she did.
I'm
And
surprised.
I'm pretty sure she asked it with the intention of like, because she was a master's student, and she felt like maybe she wanted somebody more senior or someone more with a bigger expertise or whatever it may be. So, I told her, like, you're always welcome to come by and meet this particular person you so want to meet. But I'm here because I got an invitation, and I gave whatever tips and tricks that I thought would be beneficial. And I went through the very gentle route to, you know, converse with her and tell her. But later on, I think she also realized that was probably something very rude to say. So she obviously ended with a thank you and everything like that. But I don't think she interacted with our center again, or this person never came by. But it was just one offhand comment, like, and then that did make me doubt myself a little bit. Like, if and when I did talk about it to a senior of mine, the senior like suggested that, okay, maybe it's time that you put your credentials, your experience, like why did they ask you to come and deliver this particular topic, and you have these credentials already, you have much more experience than people twice your age have. And moment they probably see a young face, they can't digest that fact, or they wouldn't be able to completely understand at a first glance that that is possible.
True.
So you kind of maybe have to like you would have to baby it for them and say like, this is a list of things that I've already achieved at this age, and etc etc. These are the places I've been invited to, or students that I've coached, or businesses that I've etc etc. So then I just got into a habit of doing that. I've never experienced it again. Like, never had anybody else come and say like, why you? But it is just um it was a learning curve as well, because we shouldn't make assumptions that everybody knows who we are.
Who we are.
Right?
That's true, yeah.
And it's just about taking a step down and telling people, like, you may be wondering why I am here on this podcast, or you may be wondering why I am,
Tell us why you're here.
why am I here? Nepotism.
I love the honesty.
So I feel it's really good to just sometimes it may be a little uncomfortable also to like list your credentials or list your experiences, but it is very useful for the person listening and learning from you, that yeah, whatever you've achieved will be beneficial for them, and they can take that back home with them. Yeah, they see the training through a different lens then.
Yeah, I feel like people are just a little limited sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't have bad intention. It's just they were not in your position when they were of your age. So it's hard for them to believe it that somebody at such a young age can do so many great things.
Yeah, and it could be something as simple as that too, and it would be even really hard for me sometimes to wrap around my head when my peers would like succeed really well in their respective fields, and think like, wow, it's like a sort of amazement, right? So yeah, it's always a good learning curve, and something that even I adapted into my training courses and the things I do. I always do a little bit of a blurb. Sometimes I don't need to, sometimes I do. So I always pick and choose.
Kind of check the vibe of the event or any conference and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that particular one was the first time I was doing like an online training thing. I'd usually done trainings in person at that time. And so when it was online, you always have the risk because the person who was complaining and said all of these things had a camera off. So it's always easy from like a
Yeah,
black box
true.
because no one in person will come and tell you these things. So when you are putting yourself out there, and I'm sure you yourself have experienced this on many, many different levels, and like, people saying things they shouldn't or unnecessary comments, things like that. It's much easier when it's online and when they can hide behind a black box and like say, because she like that person also had like her camera off the whole time. So it's much easier then, but it's you either have two options: either you sit and sulk with it, or you make it as a learning curve. You
I
turn
love
it as
that.
a learning
Yeah.
curve, and for me, it was a learning curve and something I actually learned from. And I also learned how to, be more confident when I'm facilitating, and to not suffer from imposter syndrome or like to doubt myself. I don't think I have imposter syndrome, so I don't want to take that and put that label on myself, but to doubt myself when
Yes.
things come. Yeah,
Even in the back of your head, you don't want to, because at the end of the day, it's
exactly.
gonna show up.
It will show.
It will show up. You
Yeah.
cannot fake it.
Oh,
I don't believe
100%.
in that.
Oh, 100%.
People will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was great. I also want to dive a little bit, take a little bit more into something that is quite personal to you, just because
Okay.
I know it and the audience does not. So I really want to tell them before like I
Mhm.
ask you this question. I know you have like a really good sense of people around you. Like, their emotions, and you have a higher emotional intelligence basically, which I really love, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to learn it. And
Yeah.
I know, like, in past you tell me stories that
Yeah.
you're not always like that, and
Hmm.
when you came here, it played a major factor on, like, how you adapted to all of this
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So what was that one moment or point in your life, or any incident
Hmm.
that made you feel like, there are points in your life and you feel like this is it, like
Right.
you cannot mess up more, like this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
What was that point in your life and how did you react to it?
Yeah, I think this would be a similar point for many people. I feel like COVID was a turning and changing point for many of the young people, especially in our generation, because it was like a just a standstill moment, right? And talked about emotional intelligence too, and I'm going to do a self plug. I'm delivering an emotional intelligence session with Ignition on adaptability and resilience and things, those three topics. And I've given one to University of Waterloo students as well. So it's something that I also personally research a lot, and I like to build on my own EI as well, and keep increasing it. But yeah, when COVID did happen, I think I was not in a very good place, right? Like there was lots of stuff happening at the same time. I was not doing so well in my academics. I barely talked to my family. Everything was like I felt was like crumbling down. And this may come as a shock, but I also had the police called on me.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know that story. Wait, how did I not know that?
It's a really it's quite yeah, it was really rough. Like I think one of my professors I felt just got worried about me, and they just said like, "Oh my gosh, I think we should have the police check on her." So, but I was completely fine. And obviously, I mean, I was not going to do anything drastic, but I think it was also part in my fault because I was very immature at that time and I kind of threatened her with that.
What?
Now, the more I say it, the more embarrassing it sounds. Oh my gosh! But yeah, it was a very dumb, immature thing to do, and I've learned from it. And I think after that moment, that was my defining moment when the police entered my room and like they asked me a couple of questions, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why is this happening? Why have I was never this sort of person. Why have I dug myself into this hole that I just can't seem to get out of, and make more worse decisions, do way worse things, and just keep going down, down, down. So that was like a wake up moment for me, and I realized, okay, I had to, at that time I was in a very toxic environment, and
Toxic environment, as in like friends?
like roommates.
Roommates.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had really good friends at that time, and actually, one of my really good friends brought me out of that situation. But I had very bad, like toxic roommates who really like mean and things like that, very clique mentality. And so, yeah, moment I got myself out of that place, and then things started looking up for me. I made it on the dean's list. I was acing my courses. I graduated with a really good degree, and I did a double major at that time. Also completed 3 co-ops as well. Like everything was like it was finally looking great, and then I had this great job. I got promoted twice, one after the other, and then things started settling in, and I started becoming more of myself. I feel every person just needs to sometimes just have that rude awakening, wake up moment. We tend to dig our own holes.
Oh my God, the wake up moment. That gives me a little chill.
Exactly. We generally, it's not only always our fault, it's also the people around us that enable us.
I 100% agree. It's so important to get out of places that don't serve you.
Exactly.
People say that, oh no, sometimes it's okay to be civil with people, but you need to cut off if someone or something is bothering you.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot, like I read this quote one day and it was so good. It was like, you cannot grow where there's no water and no sunshine. And we're not talking about plants. That's what the quote said. And I'm like, that is so true. Like, literally.
Very true. Like, that's really an eye-opening quote in and of itself. And you were right. Like, you don't want to be in, like, you always want to be helping people. But at the same time, if you don't have the ability and the, like, maturity and, like, enough grit to survive a particular situation or to help another person, you will only end up drowned in the sea, right? You can't help someone out of the sea if you don't know how to swim.
I remember the Jesus story that you told me.
Yeah, yes,
I'm thinking about Jesus right now.
Yeah, so it's very coincidental in that way that, if you don't know how to swim, don't help someone out of the sea.
And I feel like sometimes you can get out yourself, but sometimes it does take, like you mentioned, your friend that really helped you to get out of it.
Oh,
it does
100%.
take like God's messengers or like somebody with angel energy in your life to really put you out of that. 100%. And you are that person in my life.
I want to, because there was someone who was like that to me. I genuinely want to be that someone to other people as well.
I don't know about other people. You're that to me.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
I mean, really when I'm not even like exaggerating, but when I met you in January 2024, it has been a year now.
Yeah.
I was in the worst place I could be. I was like going through so many things, and I think all the decisions that I have made December 2024 to enter into this new year and to cut off people. I'm not going to blame it on you. That was my decision, but those were influenced by our friendship.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you get the right people around you who give you the right energy, you just realize that the people who are not giving you that energy do not deserve to be there.
Yeah. No, very true.
I think everyone needs to, all the people who are just not able to get out of something is because they haven't gotten the perfect love that they deserve.
Yeah, very true. And I wanted to say it's not easy getting out, like, and it's not even about like cutting people off or like, oh, if somebody has done one wrong thing to you, you never talk to them again. Like, there's always the arc of like forgiveness and reconciliation and things like that. But it becomes problematic when it becomes a pattern, or like when it starts eating up your own energy or your own time, like, and it makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, you feel like you just keep every day feel sorry for yourself, and that's never, like, self-pity is the root cause of all pain. Like, honestly, like, moment you start self-pitying yourself, you're already in a really, really bad hole that you're not able to dig yourself out. And self-pity then is that starter to depression, then you constantly feel sorry for yourself, and then it goes on.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle, and it all starts with self-pity. So the moment you even catch a whiff of you feeling sorry for yourself, that should be like your wake-up call. Like, think like, okay, why am I feeling so sorry for myself? What is the root cause? What is happening? So those already like become like warning bells for you, because you never want to go into the self-pity.
But still, as humans, I don't know why it always takes that one person to give us the validation that it's not just us. And always, like, even though I know sometimes, this is it, I always need to hear it from someone else.
Oh, 100%.
I'm like, you just say that. I know this is it, but just say that.
No, like, I know we are in a generation and in a time where we feel very independent and we like toot our own horns, like, think we can do everything by ourselves. But honestly, humans are made for community. We are built for community. We are built for others. We are not built for ourselves, right? So, moment we think that taking that mindset of like isolated independence, that is our root cause of self pity. Because then we have nobody to look for. We don't want to interact with anyone. We don't think anybody is worthy enough to help us or can understand us or can help take that burden. So we have to take that step back and like even go back to like when we were even created. Like if you even look at the Adam and Eve story, Adam didn't live by himself. God created Eve for him so that they can have that companionship. We are built for community. We are built for companionship. So don't hesitate to rely on others. Even if that others may sometimes let you down, may sometimes like betray you, whatever, those are also learning experiences that actually help you be more adaptable.
And those teach you more than anything. I feel like any betrayal can teach you more than any good friendship. I mean, good friendship teaches you a lot of things, but a bad friend, there's no such thing as bad friend. It's just like a different friend who has a different personality and perspective can teach you way more than a good friend. Because the amount of things that I've learned from individuals who are not like me, who are very different to me in a lot of ways, which I don't find correct in a lot of places, they have taught me a lot. And I'm like, I'm grateful for even the worst phases of my life.
Yeah, to be honest, your perspective changes when you see that everything can be a learning growth strategy.
Yes.
You can learn from bad experiences, you can surely learn from good experiences, and you try to look at things and people with a non-judgmental view, because honestly you realize that everybody, like every single person, is going through something different in their lives, right? Like you are going through something, I'm going through something, people we know are going through something. So if we prematurely judge somebody on the basis of like a simple conversation we've had, or simple one-off event that they've done, etc., we most often than not do not know why that person said that, why this incident happened, because we never know the entirety of everybody's situation. So I always like, if something has always happened to me, I am never, at least now I've become that person. I don't rush into judgment, nor do I rush into like, this person sucks. I'm going to make them pay, because I don't know. I don't know what they've been going through for them to be led into that decision to say that thing or to do that thing, etc. And that's the same for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes, however much I try to think before I act, sometimes I act impulsively. And
we all do.
Yeah, and I'm grateful to the person who had taken the time to take a step back, not take it personally, and then see it more with an introspective eye and a non-judgmental eye, and like be more empathetic. So we're all called to be a little like see things through an empathy lens, and that's often the hardest thing to do, because what is the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Yeah, it's like empathy is you're literally putting yourself in their shoes, and sympathy is you're in your shoes but understanding it from their
point. You look at it as like a third person view. So sympathy,
oh, my psychology degree is awesome use.
You just feel sorry for the other person and you feel sorry for yourself too, and like that's it. With empathy, you go to that person, right? You try to understand, why would this person do that? Why would I do that? Like if I was in this person's shoe, what would lead me to say this, or what would lead me to do this? And oftentimes when we do that, we always realize that there is always context.
Yeah.
There's always context that's missing.
There's two sides of every coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
That's okay. That was a good, just about a good conversation about people and get some insight about emotional intelligence. I want to come back to the business side of things now and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So I see that you just graduated and then you had this job and then you got promoted and all. Not everyone's story that I see is like that. A lot of people, when they graduate, they struggle to find a job, and like everyone has a different graph of their career and everything.
100%.
But there's one thing also, where you are, it's not just that, oh, you were lucky enough to just graduate, have a job in your hands and get started and rolling with it. definitely there's like some amount of strategy or planning that went behind while you were studying, right?
Right.
It's not like it was like a luck or something. That I don't believe anything's like luck like that. There's always like planning and things that you do, planning and plotting. And I really want to like get an insight about when you were studying. Did you plan all of this for yourself? Were you actively looking for roles? And how did you manage to just graduate, already have an offer, and just shine with it?
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of the reasons I did co-op. Was I even before I did co-op, I was already working as a student, and I think that's just like the international student hustle that all international students do. Like that's not unique to my own story. I, like many other students, was also doing 2 jobs at one time while also doing 5 courses. It was like a really hectic mess, and I obviously do not recommend the 2 full-time jobs thing. I could only survive for 4 months when I did that. It's a while also you're doing courses and stuff. But for me, it was always something that I wanted to stay loyal to a place that was good to me when I was a student. And that place happened to be the center, of course. And through that, I guess more opportunities arose, like, the opportunity to go to Dallas, to Boston for these like global conferences, to take training, to build and better myself, um, to be able to reach a particular stage at a young age, to do training, to see myself as a trainer, to be able to guide it, to be able to get guidance from good mentors and things like that. I think I created those opportunities for myself by just being authentic and being passionate, and most importantly, being loyal, and showcasing my loyalty. That doesn't mean like, you have to stay in a particular organization for a long time. But whenever you do stay in an organization, you show that you are for them. You give everything to them. Whether you get anything in return or not is not the goal. Of course, I got a lot in return, which I'm super grateful for. But irrespective, I think I would have still done the same things. Like I would still be, because that's just in my innate personality. And most often than not, you always get rewarded for that.
True, hard work always, like you will always get rewarded for your hard work.
Yeah, and try not to. I know often we as women, and sometimes it's also a personality flaw as well. Like we just try to hide our achievements. Like we don't feel like it is enough. And lots of times I felt that too. I was like, I can't talk about this because I don't think it's.
People are gonna think you're bragging.
Yeah, and not just that. I don't think it's achievement enough. Because we put a really high standard on ourselves. But honestly, there's something very beautiful about celebrating even the tiny wins.
I agree.
You do, say, for example, if your goal is to be a trainer facilitator and you deliver one really good session, maybe to 10 people or 5 people, you delivered a really good session. That's a really good win that you can put on your profile, you can put on your LinkedIn, you can put in your bio, whatever it may be. I still like, if I go anywhere off campus and deliver sessions, like I delivered some presentations in Boston too, like I made a post about it. And if in a smaller scale, when I go like to a neighboring university to facilitate, still make a post about it.
Why not?
Whether it's a high scale thing or a low scale thing, or whether it's just delivering sessions to students here at SMU 2 or doing coaching one-on-one, I think there is a beauty in putting that and appreciating yourself for all the small little things that you do, because you may look at it as something small, but the other person may look at it like, wow,
exactly. You have to show your work, create visibility for yourself.
Create visibility. That is the other key. It's not just about hard work, because there are many people that will just do good, like be really hardworking in the background and never want to be visible. And that's okay too. But then if you want to actually make a name for yourself outside of a company, outside of an organization, and build credibility for yourself, just especially as a young person where, you don't know what the future holds or where it could take you.
True.
The key is always in talking about your achievements. And another good trick is always, always, always talk about how busy you are. I don't know where did I see this. It was what popular sitcom or something like that. But one of the people in the office would, like, just pick up a phone. Like, if he would see anyone walking past, he would just pick up a phone and like pretend he's on the call.
Oh my God, I do that only when I'm walking to the bus stop from my classes. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love to talk to people,
Yeah.
but after working like for
Yeah.
8-9 hours and then leading something
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
going to a class for 4
Yeah.
hours, I just feel drained. My social battery comes
Yeah.
down a little bit. It never dies. It just comes
Yeah.
down a little bit. And I just like you, if I'm meeting someone, I want to give them my full energy, like the sunshine mood. I don't want to
Yeah.
like just be low on energy, be like, hi. So that's what I do. That's my
Yeah.
trick, literally. When I walk to the
Yeah.
bus stop, I'm like, yeah, hello, yeah, I'm coming. Where are you?
That's a trick to avoiding conversations. But if you also want to just show, I'm not saying get on like fake calls or anything like that, but just showcase a very like busy, that you are in a busy environment, because that actually, whether you like it, believe it or not, it actually inspires other people to also work twice as hard.
Yes,
They're like,
totally.
oh, like, she's just so busy, and it's
people will
obviously to
see
them.
it.
Yeah.
Your work will show. Like,
That's
people will
true.
know how busy you are. Totally.
Yeah.
I want to give you one more heavy question with some
Okay.
heavy tea.
Yeah.
And I want the audience to know a little bit about this, and let's just be open about this. So, as an individual, when you came here, you also came from a completely different country by yourself and everything. And don't get me wrong, but I hear a lot about, like international students and all of this. They're finding it very hard to settle here. And my story has been different because I grew up in a boarding school, so it was very easy for me to just like live here. Do you think it's actually that? I know it's challenging. I'm not denying it's not. I know it is. But do you think it's actually that, or somewhere deep down we have made it like, this kind of mindset in our heads that it's next to impossible, it's worse? Because I feel like it's good, because in India, we wouldn't have the freedom to just go out there, take care. I'm talking on for my family.
Yeah.
My family wouldn't allow me to just go out there, take care of my finances and not be worried about it. Like, our parents are so worried about us all the time. And they're always like, show us where you're spending. And they have that controlling, like, a little bit of nature.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a little like people are making it a really big deal when it is not?
Yeah, I think that differs for each person, because everyone's experience is always very different. And I think, especially, I could only speak from the Indian perspective, but
Yes.
we are coddled, right? Like, back home, we have a maid, we have like a driver, we'll have an assistant, all of those things. And then you come here and then you suddenly have to like do everything by yourself, which is an amazing learning experience to have.
Exactly.
It makes you really independent.
In boarding school, I have done it by myself always.
Yeah.
So I don't see I just don't relate when people are complaining about it, because I'm like, this is a basic skill and you should be doing your own course.
And you think in the other perspective also that, like, because I came when I was 17 and then I had to find a job at that time. When here, the more norm is students start like working, like, I mean, Canadians work when they're like teenagers, sometimes even younger, right? And unless you have your own family business or something, you've not worked a single day in your life, right? So, understanding that aspect, that you also have the freedom to earn your own money and to be able to start work at a very young age, to rent your own apartment, to be able to set that up. I think it's a privilege to be able to complain about challenges.
Yes.
That is true for everyone.
I love that.
Like, the moment you can sit down and be like, talk about how hard it is, it's an instant privilege.
Yeah.
It is a privilege to have too much on your plate. It is a privilege to be like a little bit busy and overwhelmed with your tasks, right?
Yeah.
Like, and all of these small little things that sometimes may become like burdens, they are privileges for us to, vent and talk about. So I don't think people should feel like the need to stop it or anything of that sort. Like, if they feel it's a good relieving frustration tactic, and many people would also relate to that or would want to like seek validation from that, things like that. But at the end of the day, knowing at the back of your mind that you sit in a place of privilege, right? To be able to for us to even be able to have this conversation, or to have like a different opinion to maybe other people. All of that is cloaked in privilege, right?
Yeah.
So every single thing, right? So when we start being grateful for the smallest things that happen in our life, again, instantly our perspective changes.
I think your
Right.
life changes the minute you wake up and you say, I am lucky to even see another day, which I think many people are just praying to live one more day. That's again a privilege. It reminds me of Priyanka Chopra, my favorite. She said in one of the interviews that her mom gave her this advice when she was very young, that whenever you feel like complaining about something, take a step back and look at someone, because there will always be someone who will be in a worse condition than you.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
But it's not about comparisons. Again, I'm not like propagating the view that you have to compare your struggles and challenges with somebody else, and then, feel that your struggles and things like that are not challenging enough, because that will literally be the flip coin of thinking your achievements are not enough when you
Yeah.
compare. So never ever get into the comparison game. So never get into like you see somebody else and they're obviously going to have greater struggles than you, but that does not devalue the struggles you are currently going through or the challenges you are currently facing, because everybody has a different bandwidth.
Yeah.
Like, I feel God gives different challenges to each people so that they have the amount of stamina or like intelligence to be able to deal with each challenge, right?
Just on that, do you believe in this saying that if God gave you a challenge, he knew that you can like go through it? He also gave you the strength to fight it?
Give you the strength to find it. Yeah. So that's primarily the reason why I do not see it as like a comparison game. Right? Because moment you get into that, again, you're going to put yourself into that hole of self-pity.
Yes.
Right? And you feel like, oh, other people don't think that my challenges are important enough. And that's the last thing you want to tell somebody. You don't want to tell them that, nah, have you seen that kid who almost da 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 da? They're like, why are you comparing me to a dead kid? Like, that would be the last thing. So never get into the comparison game. The solution, or like not solution, but the key is to always just be grateful. Just being eternally grateful changes your perspective. So when you think you're going through something difficult, instead
call Natasha.
No, don't call me. Just take a moment. Yeah, she does do that. You guys don't do that.
Only I have that privilege.
Please do not put my number anywhere public. I do not take calls after 5 p.m. But just
That's
take a
lie,
moment.
though.
Yeah, that is a lie. But just take a moment to be grateful for the things that do go well. So when you look at certain things with an optimistic perspective, even the challenges that you sometimes go through can be seen as rewarding. And I've been told a lot that I'm way too optimistic for some people's liking, and that may be true. But I always think it's much better to be that than to be cynical and or to be
pessimistic.
True. Right? So I choose the other end, but don't be foolishly optimistic also. So, hey, mate, there's just never be anything in excess. Always be in moderation. That's the key to a good high EI. It's just do everything in moderation. That goes for eating, like for alcohol, like whatever it is.
Wow, never you're promoting alcohol on
no,
my
I'm not
first
saying
episode.
I'm not promoting alcohol. I'm saying do everything in moderation, because Aristotle talks about the golden mean, right? That is, if you do anything in excess, that is in good and bad, right? Like you go into a surplus. You do anything in like less, you go into a deficit. But when you're in a golden mean, when you're right at that good medium,
Yes.
you have the perfect excess and a perfect deficit that, you're in moderation, basically. Yes. So
Totally.
just follow that formula and don't be too hard on yourself, guys. Yeah, take it easy.
I love that. Our conversations are never ending, but unfortunately, I'll have to pause the podcast here.
Yes.
Before we do, I really want to say I've said this a billion times and everyone knows the love that I carry for you, because the way I show it and flex it, it's pretty visible.
Yeah.
But I'm genuinely grateful to have you as a person. As a boss, only 9 to 5, after 5, Uno reverse on the universe. And to have you like a sister by my side.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being there in my life. Thank you so much for being first guest on Tea with V.
I love that.
And thank you so much for just existing in this world. I think I should thank your parents for that.
Yeah, you definitely should. And they'd love to receive that thanks. But, thank you so much for having me here. And as I said, like in the start too, it's truly an honor to be the ribbon cutter for Tea with We. And I know you have many amazing guests coming up that are really much more high profile than I am. So I'm really glad to be able to,
Why are you comparing? Don't compare.
No, but I also acknowledge and really you've worked so hard on this, and I'm really, really proud of you for how far you've come and how you've built this. It's going to be really big and epic. So I'm really glad that I could be a small part of your journey.
You are always going to be the shadow of my journey.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Okay, my ritual. Tea with We.
Yeah.
No guest leaves without doing a tongue twister.
Oh no.
Are you ready for the Siri? Yesterday, Siri gave me a really bad one. Okay, we got it.
Well, finally.
Yes, finally.
Okay.
Can you read it first?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers. How is this sister related?
I don't know. It just gave me that.
Well, okay. Rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers.
That was good. Okay, my turn.
Okay.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Perfect.
Oh, that was great. That was easy. I was like, Siri, you gotta upgrade.
Probably.
Okay, Nat. Yes. Thank you so much. Last cheers.
Last cheers.
There we go. I genuinely want to take a moment and thank each one of you for supporting Tea with V, for supporting me in this amazing journey. It means so much to me that you take out time and listen to these episodes, because I always say this to everyone. I am here today just because of my audience out there. And when you support me, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting an army of people who is behind me, who is rooting for me, and the audience who has just always believed in me. So thank you so much. Please join me in this journey. Be a part of our family. Tea with me. Spill the tea together. Follow, subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Okay, see you in the next episode. Tea with me. Bye-bye. Love, love, love.